Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at what we can expect from the Chicago Blackhawks heading into this year's 2023 NHL trade deadline on March the 3rd. We've gotten some interesting updates on the Patrick Kane situation and when we could potentially be finding out when/if he will indeed get traded. We're going to go over the list of guys on the trade block, presumably based off of cap friendly and their current cap situation, and guys that are on their way out of a contract, and kind of what the direction is for the Blackhawks. Some wild card guys that could potentially get traded ahead of the deadline. We're going to go over all of that. So let's start things off with what I think of the whole Patrick Kane situation, because the whole injury thing has definitely clouded the situation with Patrick Kane getting traded. Now, I think Jonathan Toews is somehow becoming the easier asset to move because, truthfully, you know what you're getting. Patrick Kane, with how he's played this season, you're not getting Patrick Kane when you think of Patrick Kane. You're getting a guy that doesn't seem to be himself right now, which is definitely tough. And this is a report from Pierre LeBrun and David Pagnotta. They said that Patrick Kane's camp will give teams 7 to 10 days plus notice before the deadline if he decides to be traded. And those include the New York Rangers and the Dallas Stars among those that are interested. And kind of what we've heard at this point is, this is a situation where Chicago needs to, this is their prized asset. And the good news for the Blackhawks is even if they get just a first-round pick and a good player in return for Kane, that's not necessarily what you want, right? Ideally, you want 2 first-round picks, a good player, that can play now, and that good prospect. That's the ideal trade in any situation for Patrick Kane. But the fact that he's now a rental at the trade deadline, he's 34 years old, he's not playing like Patrick Kane, his value has gone down. But the good news, there is good news here for the Blackhawks, is for the price that they got for Brandon Hagel last year from the Tampa Bay Lightning, they're not hurting too much. They've got Tampa and their own first-round picks for this year and next. They've got 2 second-round picks in this year's draft and next year's draft. Oh, wait, there's more. They also have 2 first-round picks in each of the next round 3 drafts, in the 3rd round for the next 2 drafts. I said that really weird. So to put it all together, in the next 2 years, in the 2023 and 2024 NHL drafts, they have 2 first, second, and 3rd round picks. That's pretty good. That's pretty solid. And not to mention they've got a 5th round pick in next year's draft. They've got a couple of picks moved around beyond that, but Chicago's got some high-end draft picks. And this is when you talk about a rebuild and Kyle Davidson, what he's trying to do. Yeah, they took a lot of heat for that Hagel trade, but they've got some great draft picks here, and it makes things a lot easier. So it's a little bit less pressure when you consider trading Kane and Toews and some of these other guys we're going to mention today. So I had to throw that Kane news out there just to get that out of the way. But Patrick Kane is obviously the leader at the top of that trade block. Jonathan Toews as well, the captain, wearing his jersey today. And then there's some other guys that are just kind of guys that you hope to get, maybe to pick up because they don't have a 6th round pick or a 4th round pick in next year's draft. You kind of recoup some of those assets. Guys like Andreas Athanasiou, Max Domi, who actually might get some decent value beyond Kane and Toews. And then some depth defensemen like Jared Tenorti and Jack Johnson. Don't be surprised if they go for 5th, 6th, or even 7th round conditional draft picks. That's kind of what you're looking at with some of those players. But nonetheless, you could get assets for those guys. Now, there are some other players that have been thrown around throughout the season. The Senators had apparently called about Seth Jones. I don't really think Seth Jones will get traded, at the very least at the deadline, but his name has been thrown out there, so as a maybe, I throw him into that category. Same thing for Sam Lafferty. He's got another year left on his deal, and you want to talk about a guy that they could get some value similar to what they got for Hagel last year. Definitely not 2 first-round picks, but they could get a first-round pick for Sam Lafferty, I think, or at the very least a second-round pick for Lafferty. Because of that, the fact he's got multiple years left on his deal, that is going to help out. So I could see him getting traded along with some of those guys like KANE, Tays, Athanasiou, and Domi. Ultimately, what are the biggest needs for the Blackhawks in terms of what would they like to get in return for some of these players? Like I said, for guys like Athanasiou, Tenorti, Johnson, you're really looking to get just depth conditional draft picks. If you can get anything for them, take it. And then for the guys like Lafferty and Domi and even Tays for that matter, you want to try and get a first, a second, third round picks, right? You want to get those earlier draft picks. You want to get winger prospects. That's been an issue for this team. They don't have a ton of winger prospects, so I'd like to see them kind of address that. You know, you could add another center, but considering you've got Colton Dock, Lucas Reichel, Jalen Lupien, and Frank Nazar, who are all down the middle, do they really need another center? Not really. Ideally, you'd like to go for some winger, top 6 winger potential prospects. As well as, in particular, right shot defenseman prospects. Because something I noticed when I looked at the Blackhawks prospects, you've got Kevin Korchinski, who looks really good, Alex Vlasic, Philip Ruse, who's a little bit older, Ethan Del Maestro, Jacob Galvis, Isaac Phillips, Nolan Allen, and Cooper Zek. They're all left shot defensemen. They only have 2 right shot defenseman prospects in Louis Crevier and Alex Regula. So Korchinski, Del Maestro, Nolan Allen, those are their 3 top high-end defensive prospects. And I guess you could throw Alex Vlasic, right? He's played in the NHL a little bit. Other than those 4 guys, there's nobody on the right side. So ideally, if they could find a right shot defenseman prospect available, especially in the KANE or Tays deal, you've got to take that. And if not, hopefully they could find a way to get that in maybe a Seth Jones trade this summer. Nonetheless, the Blackhawks are in rebuild mode, and that's been apparent throughout most of the season. I don't think this is any surprise to Blackhawks fans, but I think the hardest part is kind of what the Canucks are going through right now with trading their former captain, Bo Horvat, is there's a lot of good memories attached. It's the leadership. It's probably the guy that kind of I had with John Tavares, right? You've got 3 or 4 of the reverse retro jerseys and the outdoor jerseys and the home jerseys with that guy's name on it, and now they're no longer a part of the team. There is that sentimental value to those players, and I absolutely understand that. And I think when you look at this situation with the Blackhawks, you know, I kind of look at them right now as a team that I can honestly say, you know, pretty candidly, I like what I've seen from this team, but I think that the Chicago Blackhawks need to reset once again. And it sucks, but that's the situation they're at. If I had to make some predictions today, I think Patrick Kane, Jonathan Tays, and Max Domi, and Sam Lafferty, those 4 guys will get traded ahead of the deadline. So 3 UFAs and Kane, Tays, and Domi, and the guy that still has multiple years left on his deal for maybe a premium price in Sam Lafferty that you probably wouldn't get if he was a regular rental. But again, those extra years makes him more available to teams that maybe aren't even a playoff team and teams that are looking to maybe kind of save and conserve that salary. Maybe that's what they end up doing. With that said, the Blackhawks, it's a good direction for this team. It's a tough time right now, but things are going to get better. Just trust the process, and things will get better in Chicago, and they will be closer to those glory days from the mid to late 2010s. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Leave some mock trades for some of these guys in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.